Okay, we're going to try and decode the Kalakshetra model. And we've had a lot of conflicting reports. Various groups of students have spoken out about it. And of course, one teacher who claims that he's innocent is lodged in Pural jail. Hari Padman is in Pural jail right now. And what we're going to do is now we are going to try and see whether we can decode the people behind these protests. And I think it's very important that we do something like this. All right, let's go over the timeline first. Well, in September 2022 is when the rumors actually began. Rumors of A is sleeping with B, B is, the mistress of C, so on and so forth. And it was in September 2022 that Rekha Menon, who's a contract teacher in Kalakshetra, she told students in Kalakshetra not to go to Hari Padman's house because some bad things were going on over there. And she also named another teacher, Girish Madhu, saying that he had also said the same thing to her. Now, we don't know whether Girish Madhu said it to her or not, but this is what students are telling us. And remember, all of this is being done on the basis of what students, in many students, in fact, in Kalakshetra have said. So they have verified this and, with each other, and they have been saying this. All right, so now the Chinese whispers began, and it basically became pretty vicious after this. And the teachers themselves were going around talking to students and telling them that Hari Padman had done this and done that. Of course, no proof, no evidence was provided, and the students also tended to believe what their teachers said, because that's how the institution of Kalakshetra is not a normal teacher-student relationship in a school or a college. It's a very close guru-shishya relationship, and it basically means that the shishya tends to believe everything that is said by the guru as if you want to call it the gospel truth. All right, so this happened in September 2022, and by December 23rd and 24th, a former director of Kalakshetra, who we know as Leela Sampson, she posted some of these rumors on Facebook, and she even named some of the students, saying that one person had an abortion, another person is a mistress, and then she later deleted those posts. Now, immediately after that, that is on December 24th itself, there was an organization called Care Spaces, which sort of entered the fray. Care Spaces, of course, we know, is founded by Janani Ramesh, who's a student of a teacher in Kalakshetra called Indu Nidish. Indu Nidish, remember, is very much an active part of the protests. And Janani Ramesh is one of the co-founders of Care Spaces. So basically around this time, what happened was that one expert, she's an activist and she's expert at activism. She enters the fray. And her name is Swarna Rajgopalan. She runs a trust called Prajna Trust in Chennai, and deals with issues relating to gender and violence against women. It's great. I mean, the portfolio sounds great, but what people don't know about Swarna is that this is not, the Kalakshetra is not the first time that she entered a protest of this nature and attempted to guide and shape it in a particular way. She has done the same thing in 2018 during the Me Too movement, when Asian College of Journalism's Professor Sadanand Menon was accused of sexual harassment and assault. And at that time, Swarna, Nityanand Jayaraman, as well as author V. Geeta had formed a committee, and they had been calling students of ACJ to come and speak to them and give complaints against Sadanand Menon. I'm not very sure why they would do something like that, but they took it up upon themselves to coax students to come and speak to them and give complaints. Now, Nityanand Jayaraman was also, in touch with the students in ACJ, and this small committee of 3 people sort of guided the ACJ students into what they needed to do. How do you protest? Wear a black shirt, wear a black badge, all of this kind of stuff. So this was how the 2018 Sadanand Menon case it unraveled in a sense. Sadanand Menon has always maintained that the case was false and foisted, And after a point, the pressure from the media as well as from the students was so high that he was forced to resign. Okay, now that was 2018. Now in 2021, another big case, an allegation of sexual harassment appears. This time it is Padma Seshadri Balabhavan School, PSBB as it's better known. And for those who don't know PSBB, it's one of the most sought after schools in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, in fact. And they're very, they've got multiple branches, thriving schools, and of course run by Brahmins. So, well, you figure that out. So, commerce teacher at Padma Seshadri, G. Rajagopal, was the person who was alleged to have misbehaved with students. Of course, POXO and Gundas Act were applied on him. He went into jail. But now, over the months, as the trial is continuing, it has come to light that most of the complaints against him were all false and motivated. So Rajagopal has, he's out of jail, and he's flying under the radar. He does not want to be. I reached out to him a number of times, but he did not wish to be interviewed in any fashion. So Swarna was also a part of this allegation and the mayhem that unfolded around it. In fact, for 2 years before this scandal erupted, Swarna was working in PSBB on something called a peace project. So she was working with students in PSBB on the peace project, and it was, basically, she I think she sort of came out after the scandal hit the media. She has thrown her weight behind the Kalakshetra project protest. She has been very deeply embedded with care spaces before the protest started, and she has played an advisory role in the protests. So this is the serial agitprop expert, if you want to call it that, and I mean that's it's just a term that we throw. And she appears to be that person who's a serial, protester or a protest instigator, if you want to call it that. All right, the next person is Nirmala Nagarajan. And remember, Nirmala Nagarajan is the person who has been accused by the students who are supporting Hari Padman, saying that she's the one who has instigated the students. Well, she is somebody who does that, and I'll tell you about her track record. So, on the morning of March 30th, it was Nirmala Nagaraj who sat under the banyan tree in Kalakshetra and very dramatically stated that Hari Padman had misbehaved in a very bad manner with students, that he had grabbed the breasts of a dancer. And and of course, Indu Nidish, who was there, she said that she felt physically sick after hearing about this ordeal that one of the students had to undergo. All of it was false. It was, there is absolutely no truth to any of this, because I have attempted to verify it, and there is no truth to any of this. But what finally did happen very effectively was that Nirmala, or Nimi as she is called, Nimi teacher, she basically managed to galvanize all the students who were horrified by this. Obviously, the students don't know whether it's true or false, so they tend to believe their teacher. So they were galvanized to go and sit in protest, and that was actually the reason that even students who were a little, wondering about, whether they should go and sit in protest or not, that sort of pushed them over the edge. That performance, and they all went and sat in protest. But this is not Nimi's first protest. Nimi basically, in 2012, when Leela Samson was the director, and her directorship came under a cloud, Nirmala basically saw her chance because she did not get along with Leela Samson. She did not agree with her, and she wanted her out. So what she did was, Nirmala again called all of the students and told them to sign on blank sheets of paper. Those who did not sign were subjected to severe, mental harassment and abuse afterwards. But people were scared of Nirmala, so they just went and they signed on blank sheets of paper without knowing why they were signing. And Nirmala then uses these signatures to send a letter saying that the students were demanding the resignation of Leela Sansa. So this is Nimi's modus operandi. There's another story about Nimi. I spoke to a few old timers, people who were in Kalakshetra when Shankara Menon was the director, and Nimi had just come to Kalakshetra at that time. This is around the mid 1990s, and she was given a contract position, which is of course a temporary position, and those in the know, they say that Nimi walked up to Shankara Menon when her contract was ending. Shankara Menon was the director after Rukmini Devi Arundel. So she walked up to Shankara Menon and she said to him very theatrically, "If you don't give me a permanent posting, I will commit suicide right in front of you." So Shankara Menon was not a very, he was a very soft man, so by all accounts. And he gave in, and Nimi had her way, and that's how she got a full-time posting in Kalakshetra. There are also a number of other players who have thus far been at each other's throats, but now they've decided to become friends. So one example is that of another teacher called Nandini Rangaraj. She was also a member of the internal complaints committee, the sexual harassment committee of Kalakshetra, and Nandini thus far has not been in favor of Nirmala. She doesn't like her very much, but she has capitulated and she has gone over to Nirmala. Perhaps it's a choice that was made because she felt that Nirmala's side is more powerful than anything else. The other example is that of dancer Anita Ratnam and T.M. Krishna. Now the two have been at each other, claws out quite publicly in the past, but now they've buried their differences. Why have they both come together to condemn this and Kalakshetra and the director and everything? Well, it's they have their own personal agendas. So I don't really want to go into that. It's perhaps for one it is ambition, and perhaps for the other it is anger that his book launch was cancelled in Kalakshetra because his book was way too political. So I just I wanted to talk about the people behind Kalakshetra because it's not an organic protest. It's not something that just happened out of the blue. There are players in it. There are people who have actively instigated these, and I think it's very important for even the students to realize that many of them have been manipulated and many of them have been deliberately confused into doing something that they don't even know is right or wrong. So, this is basically a video that tries to unravel the people behind Kalakshetra, the Kalakshetra mess rather, and it's just basically a vain hope that the authorities, the police, the committees, the various committees and the commissions that are investigating will be able to see the whole picture. Thanks very much for watching.